What is up, my friends? It is that time of the year. We are doing our top countdown. This year, CJ, we're doing top 22 selling items of 2022. It's just for fun. The people want to know. I want to know. So if you'd like to join in and see, will somebody knock off last year's champion? Let's find out. Let's go. Welcome to the Hookup Tackle. The Hookup Tackle is the world's largest showcase of Megabass products, featuring baits and colors not found at any other dealer. The Hookup also offers a wide display of OSP, Evergreen, Depths, Lucky Craft, Jackal, and many more. The Hookup Tackle is owned and operated by family, is staffed by guides and verified tackle nerds who love helping anglers elevate their craft. If you're in the Phoenix area, we'd love to have you stop by our showroom and check out the wonderful world of Megabass and the Hookup for yourself. If you shop online, there are almost 10,000 SKUs of Megabass products alone, with hundreds of other companies and new products being added daily. So next time you're looking for that hard to find bait, that color your fish have never seen before, or maybe you just want to elevate your game, look at thehookuptackle.com. Welcome back, my friends. I am Ben with the Hookup Tackle, the Tackle Otaku on Instagram, being joined this year by CJ at Desert Bassin on Instagram. We are the Hookup Tackle USA. CJ, good to see you.
Good to be here.
This is different this year without Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea where Jeff is. That's why he's not
ether.
here. Wouldn't return any calls. Hopefully he's catching some fish and not dead in a ditch somewhere. So Jeff, if you see this, love you, man. Please come back to work.
Please don't be dead.
Yeah. All right, this is the top 22 selling items of 2022. Now, if you watched our top selling baits video last year, we're going to do this in the same way. If this is new to you, this is just for fun. We basically ran all the stats for the whole year. We compiled a list of our very best selling items, and we are doing best selling items by units, not by dollars, right? Because otherwise rods would be
through the roof.
They would win everything, right?
Yep.
So this is by total units sold. So if something sold, 10,000 instead of 9,000, 10,000 wins, right? Now, we are also going to break this into 16 categories, okay? So we're going to do individual categories, and then the last two categories, we're lumping all hard baits into a hard bait category and all soft baits into a soft bait category, and we'll do 4 in each one of those categories, okay? So each category will have a winner, and then we'll let you guys know what the runner-up was too, so you can see if, the weight you use made the team or not, right? We have to do it this way, otherwise soft baits would literally win everything, because everybody buys soft baits, but not everybody buys a hard swim bait or a bait casting rod, right? Mm-hmm. So, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm excited to see how this all breaks down.
Let's see how it breaks down. So we're going to start in the same place we started last year, okay? So here we go. Top 22 of 2022. We're going to start with hooks, okay? Now, last year, this was a shocker for me. If you had to think of all the hooks in the store, what comes to mind as a hook that you would think would be the best selling, like store-wide, year-wide?
I would think at least as a brand, Gamakatsu would be way up there.
Yeah.
Maybe like you know what? Actually, free rig hook for sure.
Yeah, like a Ryugi Infinity. So last year I asked Jeff the same question, and he was convinced it was a Ryugi Infinity. We sell gazillions of Infinity hooks, right? Shockingly, Gamakatsu not even close to the top.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know if that's like a thing, or it could just be this store, right? But it's definitely owner Ryugi, Zappu is making some push in there, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So here we go. It's actually a repeat. A back-to-back victory, not what you would expect. Number one selling hook, and I will say by a long distance in our store, the owner-weighted beast hook. Okay, so this hook also won last year. Now, the owner-weighted beast hook is a super sick hook. It comes in a bunch of different sizes, 4/0, 6/0, 8/0, 10/0, 12/0. And then the 8/0s and 10/0s also have multiple weights. You can do a 3/8 ounce weight, a 1/2 ounce weight, 3/4. So there's lots of customization that you can do with this hook. One of the reasons why this hook is so popular is because there's a lot of baits that are just built around this hook, like working class zero citizens, which you may or may not see later in the episode, right? That fits this hook. So every time we get a citizen drop, people usually buy the beast hook to go with them. Magdraft Freestyle, which is really high on the list of bestsellers, fits an 8/0 beast hook so perfectly, right? So it's just a really great hook. It's great CPS spring. So it's actually not a surprise when you really start thinking about it, but the furthest thing from my mind is usually a swim bait hook.
Right.
I'm usually thinking something that like every single person does, like a drop shot hook or something. But in those categories, things are really spread out. So like free rig, for instance, I throw an infinity hook, Griff throws a bellows hook, you know, that person throws an owner J hook, that person throws a Gamakatsu EWG, like it's really spread out. But in this category of hook, owner just dominates this. So there you go, the #1 selling hook of the year from owner, the weighted beast hook. Now, runner up, and this wasn't even close, but I want to do a runner up in each category, unless it's just really not close. Another owner product, believe it or not.
Wow, go owner.
Owner ST36. So this is actually really cool because this tells me that a lot of guys are changing their hooks and they're being really diligent about making sure they're changing their hooks out. #1 selling size 6 by far, which is pretty much the standard jerkbait size. So it's going to fit an Edovision 110, it's going to fit a Pointer 100, it's going to fit almost every jerkbait in the store. Size 4 is right behind it, which is pretty much the standard crankbait size, right? Owner ST36, if you guys are looking for a replacement treble, this has just kind of been the industry standard of replacement trebles for reaction baits because each hook is balanced to center. There's not one welded hook onto 2 hooks. It's just a fully balanced hook, so no matter which way you put it on the split ring, it's going to have the same keel. And so it's a really simple hook that will match almost any hook that comes on a bait. So kind of a no-brainer. There's your backup winner to the hook category. Let's jump over to weights. That makes sense, right? Okay. This one is also a repeat on the free rig idea that you had, right? Ryugi takes this back-to-back years. So the Ryugi DS Heavy Delta weight. These are pretty much the go-to free rig weight for everybody around here. Now, the runner-up was actually really close this year. So this is interesting. This could actually be overtaken next year, and I'll show you the runner-up here in a second. But this is a very simple tungsten weight. It's in kind of a triangular teardrop shape. It's just a great free rig weight. It's kind of my go-to free rig weight. I don't feel like I need to have anything protecting the line or a bead or anything. It's really smooth. I've never had it nick. So it's just a really simple weight. 3/8 ounce, kind of my go-to, of course, 1/4 ounce. Right behind this actually was their lighter size. So this is the heavy Delta, which is basically 1/4 ounce and down. And then the non-heavy version is like 3/16 and up. Very, very close. So a lot of guys throwing lighter, you know, free rigs and tie-on drop shot. All right, your runner-up, another free rig weight. This one is from Zappu. Okay, so this is the Zappu pin-free shot. So I pulled this out because I wanted you guys to see it. Now, I think this one got a lot of traction because any of you guys who use this Ryugi weight know that it's been a semi-challenging year this year to get tungsten. Like, it hasn't been in stock all the time, right?
Yep.
So a lot of gap fillers are closing in, but here is the Ryugi DS Delta, and here is the Zappu pin-free shot. Both are 3/8 ounce. So you can see that the Zappu is more compact. It's wider, but it's shorter, and it's a darker, it's more of a matte finish versus a shiny finish. Okay, so definitely a reason maybe to try either one. If you're throwing the Zappu, maybe you try the Ryugi, give yourself a different look. But if you've been staying in this Ryugi, might be worth trying the Zappu. This has kind of become my next one. Like, I don't really care which one it is. Give me this one or give me this one.
Yeah.
I'm good. So there you go. The winner, Ryugi, but very close behind is the Zappu.
Think it'll take over next year?
It's going to be interesting to see what happens in this one. This one is close, so this one could definitely happen.
I would love to see where those penguin weights fell.
Penguin weights were not even close.
But they're cool.
There was a lot of people that had a good time with them, but they weren't even close.
For sure, for sure.
All right, next category. Let's just stay in terminal. Let's do line, okay?
Yep.
This one was, again, not even close. So these first few are kind of no-brainers. If you guys hang out around the shop at all, you know that pretty much everybody in here is a fan of Sunline. So it's no surprise that Sunline takes the top spot. Again, back-to-back years with Super FC Sniper being the #1 selling line in the store for 2022. This is for a good reason. Sniper is just a great all-around line. There's lots of really good lines. A lot of brands make really good day in and day out, you know, just multi-use fluorocarbons. What we all love about Sniper is that it's a little bit limper, it's a little bit softer than a lot of other fluorocarbons, so it manages a little bit easier, it casts a little bit better, there's less coil to deal with. Plus, the sizing is crazy. So there's all kinds of in-between. So it goes from 2-pound to 30-pound in Sniper. So pretty much anything you can imagine in bass fishing is covered. But all those individuals, there's 2-pound, then 3-pound, then 4-pound, then 5-pound, 6, 7, 8, right? It just goes all, so you can really fine-tune your selection to exactly what you need. It's just great line. I would say probably 95% of my fluorocarbon fishing is done right here in Sniper. So by a long ways, this is your winner this year.
No brainer there.
Now, I'm just throwing it back up in here. This wasn't close. Okay, Sniper destroyed everybody.
Breaking the rules.
But this was really interesting to see this as #2. I expected another fluorocarbon to be #2, but it was another Sunline product. Defier D-Braid was our #2 selling line this year, which is also very cool, which means people were willing to try something new, willing to try something unique, and then obviously they found that they loved it as much as we all do. So if you guys haven't been using Sunline Defier D-Braid, this is, let's just call it the most premium braid version from Sunline. It is a cored line, so it has a structured core, and then the fibers wrap around it. And what that does is it does two things. The first thing is it gives it a little bit more rigidity than a traditional real soft 8-strand braid. So it will reduce things like wind knots and twists and things that are generally a giant pain in the ass with really light braid on spinning rods, okay? The other thing is it's a neutral density line. So it's going to have the same slow sinking characteristics as a fluorocarbon. So if you guys are using your spinning gear for bottom contact type things where you're tying a fluorocarbon leader, what's nice about using a neutral density braid is instead of it having a floating braid that floats on the surface and then dives down to your bait, you're having that same sink rate, so you have more of a direct contact to your bait and things just happen faster. You pick up sensitivity quicker, your hook set is faster. It's just more direct contact to everything. So I'm a huge fan of the 19-pound and the 15-pound. Those are the two that I use the most. 19-pound, by far a bestseller, which is why I have it here.
Makes sense. 19's hard to beat.
Now, keep in mind that with Defier D-Braid, this is going to be going off the go rating and not necessarily the pound. So we refer to it as 19-pound, but it's really 1.5 go. So 19-pound is going to be equivalent to like a 15-pound in almost any other braid, like a Daiwa or a Power Pro or something like that you might be used to. 15-pound Defier is going to be closer to like a 12-pound, right? So that's why I don't really mess so much with like the 11-pound and the 9-pound and the 7-pound, because that's so thin. That's more like trout sizes, right? But definitely worth a look if you guys are looking for new braid. That is the runner-up. Winner, runner-up, both Sunline. Let's keep going.
Deadly combo.
All right, well, let's just use line and segue into rods and reels. Let's get that out of the way, then we'll go back to playing with baits. Sound good?
Got to build the combo, throw the bait.
All right, so let's talk bait casting rods and reels, okay? Let's start with rods. The #1 selling bait casting rod. What type of rod would you imagine that being?
What type of rod? If I had to guess, it would be in the destroyer line.
Okay.
Or it would be in the, I'm going to pick 3. There's 3 guesses here.
But what kind of technique? Like when you think of like
I would
the best selling rod of the year, would you think it'd be a jig rod or a crankbait rod or a...
Honestly, I would guess it would be like a jerkbait rod.
Jerkbait rod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've kind of been on a theme with the 110s here.
Yeah.
We sold a lot of 110s
Yeah,
this year.
and we sell a ton of jerkbait rods.
Yeah.
Challenge to a jerkbait rod, though, is there are several really, really good ones, and they divide the pot.
True.
So like even within Megabass, you have the 110 stick,
Yep.
the jerkbait special Orochi, the jerkbait special Levante, the Ronin, right? And that's with not even counting like the Valkyries that are designed for jerkbaits and the Silver Shadow, like all these other ones. So it kind of splits the pot. This was interesting. The #1 selling rod of the year is a swim bait rod.
Really?
Yep. And by a big margin. Megabass, Levante, Leviathan.
It's great for jerkbaits.
Worst jerkbait rod in the store, CJ. This is our #1 selling rod of the year. It makes sense. I would have never guessed this one.
No.
Right? But it makes sense after I see it. And one of the reasons why this is such a popular rod is Levante at $249 still hits a price point that is just, it's comfortable for so many people. But this is a really amazing rod. Even if you had $600 to spend, this rod does a lot of things that a $600 rod doesn't necessarily do.
Yeah.
Because the Levante graphite is a little bit slower, it bends a little bit deeper into the blank, and it's just a really easy rod to use. So if you guys are looking for a rod to really get into hard swim baits, glide baits, rats, bigger hard baits, that kind of stuff, this is a rod that I just highly recommend. Griff's even been using this for a deep crank, right? So there's a lot of things you can do, but it's because of that give that this rod has and that kind of parabolic bend, not only when you're fighting fish, but when you're casting. It just makes casting so easy. It's just a sick rod. 2 to 8 ounces, so it's got a huge lure rating. $250.
Yeah.
Kind of a no-brainer.
Good price point, good versatility for bigger baits.
Does a lot of things,
yeah.
And it tells me that a lot of guys still want to get into swim baits, still want to get into A-rigs, still want to throw some of these bigger baits, which is good because the bigger bait trend is coming. We've only scratched the surface, right?
Crazy how popular it's getting.
It is. So super dope to see this. The #1 selling bait casting rod of the year from Megabass, the Levante Leviathan. Let's follow it up with #2. Now, you started to say Destroyer.
Yes.
Okay, so here's your runner-up. Runner-up is a jig rod.
Okay, that was going to be my next guess for rod. I was like, it's got to be a jig rod.
Yeah. So, cool. And it is. So here you go. And this was by far the #1 selling Destroyer in the line. This is Destroyer P5 X Bites. So this is a rod that we talk about a lot. This is an amazing, I would say compact jig rod is the best way for me to describe it. So if you guys are throwing small little OSP hunch jigs, depths, headlock jigs, Kitech tungsten football jigs, there's not a better rod on the planet for those smaller compact jigs. It's a softer rod than what I would normally consider a true like football jig rod.
For sure.
But it's perfect for those smaller, tighter, compact jigs or a lighter Texas rig. This rod is so sick. It just, the movements you can make, just such small little movements with those smaller baits. So I wasn't surprised to see this. Well, I know that I'm always shipping X Bites. So there you go. The winner in the bait casting category and the runner-up, the Destroyer P5 X Bites. Now let's see what reels people chose to put on these things.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they match, like if they're buying the rod and the reel together.
All right, so reels were actually closer than I thought. I thought the winner was going to be a long ways away. I was surprised it was very, very close, but there was still a distinct winner, okay? And it's a repeat winner.
Of course.
And it's probably going to just keep repeating.
It's just a good product.
Okay? #1 selling reel in our store for this year, the Daiwa Tatula SV TW. Okay, so this reel year after year after year just always seems to be the best-selling reel, and for good reason. It's $199. All the main Daiwa stuff is crammed into this reel. So you get virtually almost all the same cast control, all the same settings that you get in a Steez in a $199 reel. It's the perfect starting reel, but it's also just a great, just do everything reel. So even if you're an advanced fisherman, this reel functions perfectly. If you're just beginning, this reel helps you solve a lot of backlash problems. So your casting will be better. You can cast into wind. You can get great distance. So the SV T-Wing system that Daiwa has is just an amazing system. And it's interesting to see how it compares to the DC system. Now, I will put a little asterisk next to a lot of this. Some of these categories are going to be based on what people actually are buying the most, and some of these categories are going to be based on what was actually available the most.
Into it.
Okay, yeah. So keep in mind that, you know, a lot of companies have still been struggling. So like DC reels, for instance, they have not been readily available all year. They'll come in, they'll sell out, we'll be out of them for months. They'll come in, you know what I mean? So it's this roller coaster. And the same can be said for Daiwa, but Daiwa's been much more consistent this year than Shimano, so it makes sense that we're seeing higher sales in Daiwa. Plus, almost everybody here is pushing the SV T-Wing system. That's what most of us are using, right? So if you're not familiar with the SV T-Wing, the T-Wing is this little guy right here in the front of all the Daiwa reels. So instead of the line being pushed through, you know, just an oval kind of roller guide, it opens up into this, you know, wider guide to allow that line to come off the reel easier. The SV spool is a shallower spool that's free floating, sitting on bearings. So it allows it to slow down much quicker. You don't have all that weight in the bottom of a very deep, heavy spool. So if you do backlash, it usually slows it down really quick, and you just have a couple of little pulls, and then you're back in action. You guys know if you've backlashed a deep spool or a DC, it's a fucking nightmare, right? If you backlash an SV T-Wing, it's usually 30-second ordeal, and then you're back in action. Righties, lefties, bunch of gear ratios. There you go. There's your #1 selling bait casting reel of 2022, the Daiwa Tatula SV T-Wing. Now, right behind it, and very, very close, it almost edged it out, okay? The Daiwa Zillion SV T-Wing.
That one's a killer.
And this is interesting because this is a pretty big jump in price. You're going from $199 to $349 here. But it's super sexy.
Oh, super sexy.
But this also is cool because this is going to give you all of the latest tech. Right? So all the latest, that whole, hyperdrive system, all the latest cast control are going to be in the new Zillion SV T-Wings. You know, if you guys are looking for best bang for the buck, it's definitely the Tatula. If you're looking for a super sophisticated system for throwing baits that might be hard to throw, like a jerk bait or something that hangs in the wind, this is worth every penny of the upgrade there. So there you go. There is your runner-up from Daiwa also, the Zillion SV T-Wing.
That thing is sexy.
It is. All right, let's jump to spinning rods. Okay, it should be no surprise to anybody that our #1 selling spinning rod is a Megabass Destroyer P5 WindBuster.
Yep.
I'm not gonna waste time. We literally talk about it all the time.
Yep.
If we could have had these in stock all year, it would have blown everything out of the water. This year it was much closer than it should have been, mainly because inventory on WindBusters was so terrible. If you guys get a chance to get your hands on a WindBuster, by far my favorite spinning rod. It's one of those rods that you just get in tune with. Once you get it dialed, you can just become so in sync with the rod. It's great for throwing a free rig. It's great for throwing, heavier plastics. But it was designed for throwing hard baits, designed for throwing jerk baits, that kind of stuff. So it is relatively parabolic. It does have that kind of mid-bend through the rod, but it's crisp and sensitive. So definitely this should be on everybody's need list. If you don't already have one, if you only have one, it should be on your need list to add a backup. It's a sick-ass rod.
Yeah.
So can't say enough good things about that. That one's not a surprise.
No.
WindBuster wins.
That's a no-brainer.
The runner-up was pretty shocking. I didn't see this one coming.
Let's see
The
it.
second best selling spinning rod in our store is a Daiwa Steez, believe it or not. I thought for sure it was going to be like a NRX 852 or a baby plugging or something.
Oh no, we talked about the Steez a lot this year.
We do, and obviously we weren't the only ones that loved them. So the rod that won out is the Utility Player Spin. This is the 7-1 medium fast action Steez AGS. This is just a killer all-around rod. This is a faster rod than the WindBuster. Okay, so it's going to be more of a traditional fast action medium. So really just a sick drop shot rod.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really where this rod is going to shine. So if you guys are looking for just that medium drop shot rod that you could fish weedless or nose hook, you can throw a little jig on it, you can throw a free rig, you can do so many things with just a 7-foot medium rod. This rod is light, crisp, sensitive. It's everything you need a rod to be, and it just fills that void for like an all-around use rod, right? I would say as an all-around rod, this is a better option than a WindBuster. WindBuster is my favorite because I throw more of the heavy stuff anymore than I do the lighter stuff. Yeah. I really don't drop shot that much anymore because I do mostly free rig. But if you live in a place where you throw a ton of drop shot, and maybe every once in a while a Ned, maybe every once in a while a free rig, maybe every once in a while a weightless Senko, right, a little jig, this would be a sick rod. Probably the sickest one in the shop. Okay, so there you go. There's your runner-up, the utility player spin from Daiwa and their Steez AGS.
Seeing a theme here. Seems like a lot of people are honing in on rods that can do a little bit of everything in a way on them.
Multi-use?
Multi-use rods, yep.
What's interesting too is that I consider both of those rods to be expensive rods, right? They're both in that $500 range.
Yeah.
$500 spinning rods, way outsold $199 spinning rods, $249. Like, it wasn't even close.
That's crazy.
Right? In casting, it was much closer. So it was interesting to see that in spinning rod, really what you get when you spend $500 instead of $250 is sensitivity.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a lot of refinement, you get better guide train, you get different grips, you get lighter, you get all these things. But really you're buying to feel a fish breathe on your bait down there. Yeah. Right? So it was really interesting to see that people really wanted that in spinning. Yeah. And it makes sense.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to get a high-end spinning rod for those little details. I mean, most of the time when you're using them, it's for finesse applications where you need the sensitivity. So I think more people are jumping on the train of spend a little bit more money, get a nicer rod that's going to do the job better.
There are certain techniques that you can throw a $200 rod or a $500 rod and it's pretty much the same.
Right.
Yeah, right? One might have a different grip, one might be a little bit lighter, but performance-wise, they're going to perform the same. You're going to catch the same amount of fish. When you're talking about bottom contact, dude, it's hundreds of dollars to go to the lake anymore. By the time you put gas in the boat, gas in the truck, your tackle, all this stuff, if you can pick up a few extra bites a trip with a rod that's $500 instead of $250, I mean, dude, your experience and your enjoyment is going to be so much higher. You're crazy not to do it. That's my thought process. But I'm a bougie motherfucker, so of course that's going to be my thought process.
$25 bass went to a $50 bass.
That's it. All right, so let's jump over to spinning reels then. Okay.
Yeah.
It should come as no surprise. Well, it kind of is a surprise every year, but it's a repeat winner. So the #1 selling spinning reel, and the reason I say it's kind of a surprise is we can't sell these online. This is an in-store only reel. Now, if you can't come in store, you can call us. You can send us an email. You can shoot us a DM. We can sell them to you, but we can't advertise them online. It's a Daiwa thing. It's a pro shop only reel. Here it is, the Daiwa Kage LT 2500. By far our #1 selling reel of the year. Now, this has been our #1 selling reel since Kage has been a thing. Kage is just a beautiful reel. It's just all matte black. It's got that super dope cork grip on it. It's just a simple reel with tons of bearings that's smooth, got a great drag. It's lightweight, it's clean. It matches every single rod. So no matter what goofy color rod you get, black matches. If I had a wish, I wish Daiwa made this in a 3000. Wouldn't that be sick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if Daiwa is listening, a Kage LT 3000 would be so sick. But I'll take my 2500. So there you go. #1 selling reel of the year in spinning from Daiwa, the Kage LT 2500. Runner up. Did you think we were going to talk about Shimano today?
I was a little surprised by this one.
Shimano Vanford. Shocking?
3000.
Shocking?
A little bit. I didn't expect that one.
Yeah. Fairly shocking. Now, I will say, I don't usually say a lot of great things about Shimano spinning reels, even though I had a Stella on my WindBuster. The Vanford line of reels is, in my opinion, probably their best line of reels. So you're at a $200 price point. The drags are butter smooth. They're lightweight. It's a much smaller frame. So a Shimano 3000 is a much smaller footprint than a Daiwa 3000, especially now that Daiwa is going to all the MQs. So they're doing all those monocoque bodies, so everything's just getting bigger and more powerful. There's something to be said about staying small and compact and light because it does have a different feel to it. So depending on which rod you're putting it on, it may or may not be a better option for you. So it's no surprise to see that the Vanford sold so well. It's a great alternative to the Kage. Both of these, by the way, are kind of in that $200 price point, right? So I think you're at like $209 and $229, something like that. So, you know, virtually that same price. And again, just like we talked about with the Tatula, all the major tech gets dumped into this price point. So if you guys are looking for a starting point, you're trying to figure out what spinning reel do you get, when you go here or you go here, you're getting most of the major tech that makes a spinning reel so good, right? Then every step up is just little sophistications, little elevations that, you know, once you get used to, it's hard not to have, but you're gonna get, you know, a lot of performance at this. So there you go. A Daiwa Shimano 1-2 combo.
Damn.
Number one still goes to Daiwa, but can Shimano knock them off in 2023? We're gonna find out. Next category, let's jump into the swim bait category here, CJ. So cool. I broke this up into soft swim baits and hard swim baits. But soft swim baits, I made two categories. So I made full-size soft swim baits, but there's so many like small swim baits that a true swim bait guy wouldn't consider to be a swim bait, right?
Yep.
So we're doing soft swim baits and we're doing small soft swim baits.
I like this.
Sound good?
We're appeasing a lot of people here, I think.
Yeah, here we go. Soft swim baits. Number one. What comes to mind?
Soft swim
This should
bait.
be an easy one.
Oh man, I mean, easily Magdraft, easily.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody's gonna ever knock this off.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait a second.
but wait.
It's
See what I
been
did there?
Mm.
No one's ever knocking it off the top spot. Here you go. The number one selling soft swim bait by a long ways. It almost, I will asterisk this almost was our number one selling item of the year.
Isn't that crazy?
Very close. This was our number two selling item of the year across the entire store, every category by just pure numbers. Crazy.
That is wild.
So, of course, you know, several things happened this year. There was a bunch of tournaments won on this sucker. You know, 6-inch Magdraft in albino pearl shad. I can't imagine going fishing without this in the spring or the fall.
Right.
I mean, you and I literally caught 9 gazillion fish
dude,
on this.
We shredded them on that thing.
So this is just an important one to have in your arsenal. Spring, fall, especially when those fish are shallow and looking to eat something a little bit bigger than, you know, a traditional sized offering. This is just a great bait to throw without having to be crazy and have specialized gear to throw something like this. It gets tons of bites. But also this year, Megabass re-released the 5-inch Magdraft, which hadn't been out for a couple of years. So we're talking thousands of units here on this that guys went crazy for because they haven't had it. So there were several factors that played into the Magdraft's realm to boost it. But at the end of the day, it's just arguably the best soft plastic swim bait on the market.
Yeah,
so
easy. And
sales numbers prove it. So there you go. The number one selling item of the year in the soft swim bait realm, Megabass Magdraft. We're going to talk about the runner-up because this was interesting. Okay, and this guy might have a chance someday to knock it off if it ever becomes a regularly available item. Don't know that that's ever going to happen. Probably not. But we sold a gazillion of them this year. From Working Class Zero, the Citizen. Now I combined 6-inch and 7-inch into one category, just like I combined all the sizes of Magdraft into one category. The Citizen is our second best selling soft plastic swim bait of the year. Now these are available in a 6-inch and 7-inch. As I mentioned, the 6-inch is designed around a 6/0 weighted beast hook. The 7-inch is designed around a 10/0 weighted beast hook, so thus the reason why we sold so many beast hooks as well. Circling back around. If you guys aren't familiar with the Citizen, it's just a great all-around swim bait. It's got a hollow, they call it a chaos air chamber. Let me take one out and show it to you. So it's got a hard face. It's got a tormentor tail, right? So very fancy, yeah.
Yes.
But really it has this kind of hollow chamber in here that collapses on the hook set. So you can fit your beast hook in there perfectly. You don't have this big dangling hook on there. And then when the fish bite and you set the hook, that chamber there, it collapses so that hook point comes out and it just gets you a great hookup ratio, and they just eat this thing.
Yep.
Right? So it's a great bait to fish around. You can run bank with it. You can drag it on the bottom. You can fish it very slow. It's just a great all-around bait. So we still have some of these in stock in these two colors that I'm showing you. So this is Misfit and Heckler. Now, we were told not too long ago that this is going to actually be the last run of Citizens for quite some time. So they are working on some new colors. They are working on some new projects. There's some more projects in Working Class Zero than just Citizens right now. So if you guys want a Citizen, don't wait for a certain color that you've been dying to get to come back. They're not coming. Okay? So nobody's coming to save you. So you've got two options, and luckily they're good options. You got a nice kind of natural shad pattern in Heckler, and you've got kind of a nice dark green pumpkin, you know, bluegill shiner type color in Misfit. So there you go. There is your runner-up.
A lot of guys jumping in it for sure.
Yeah. Swim bait rod.
Yeah, I mean, we got
sails.
the swim baits, we got the hooks for it, the WindBuster. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
The
all lining up.
All right, now let's stay on soft swim baits and let's go downsize. So let's make small swim baits its own category. Okay, just to be fair, because you know I'd say probably half of the country is never going to throw this.
Right.
It's just too big. Right. So when we say small swim baits, we're talking about things that are like hand size, like under an ounce.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I would have to guess Sleeper Gill would be number one.
Sleeper Gill is number one. So brand new offering this year. I actually thought Dark Sleeper, because Dark Sleeper has been such a, and again, still one of the very top selling items.
Yeah.
But Sleeper Gill, with all the buzz this year, took it over, bounced it off the top spot. So Sleeper Gill is a 3/4 ounce bluegill bait that kind of borrows from some of the Dark Sleeper tech, I guess, in that it has that kind of hidden hook behind that dorsal fin. It is just a great swim bait. The Dark Sleeper really designed to be more like a bottom contact, like almost a jig. The Sleeper Gill more like it's just a true swim bait. You can just cast and wind it. And what we really find is just a slow and steady retrieve is best with this, so you don't have to get too fancy. Of course, you can drop it on the bottom. If you threw this on a bed, you would catch every bass you ever saw.
It's gone.
But we have a lot of guys here that fish ponds. They just run out for a couple hours after work or before work, and this is kind of the staple bait for everybody. Pretty much every small body of water, as well as big bodies of water, has some kind of panfish in it. So there you go. By far, the number one selling small swim bait of the year from Megabass is the Sleeper Gill. Now, right behind it, okay, and this is going to be interesting because this bait was very close as a runner-up, and we've only had it for a few months.
Yep.
So we only got this in Q3. So
That's crazy.
2023 might be a very interesting year for this particular bait. Having it for a full year, we're going to see what happens. Okay.
Watch out, Sleeper Gill.
Here we go. The runner-up, and very close to knocking it off in the small swim bait category, from Raid Japan, the head swimmer Libero. Now, we're calling this a small swim bait. We actually internally had a hard time categorizing this.
Yeah.
Is it an underspin? Is it a jig head? Is it a rigged what is it?
Let's see. Let's just.
I think small swim bait makes the most sense,
Yeah,
because while you don't have to throw this bait on there, you can put whatever bait you want to on this head. It comes designed with the perfect bait for the perfect head. So we're calling it a small swim bait. Now, head swimmer Libero is available in two sizes, a 7 gram and a 5 gram. Okay. And it is super small. So it's smaller than a 3-inch spark shad on an Okashira head. Now, the Okashira head is only in a 16th ounce and an 1/8 ounce. Now you have a 5 gram, which is basically a 3/16, and a 7 gram, which is basically a quarter. That I know it's different. but it's kind of the same idea.
Yeah.
So if you guys are looking for just a small little paddle tail swim bait, it has the same kind of shape head as like a body balance head. It's a very stable bait. It falls horizontally. They eat this thing everywhere. Okay, so every batch we have got has evaporated out of here. In fact, if you're watching this right now and you click on our website, there's none. But I can tell you, we're doing a huge drop on Sunday.
Ooh.
Okay, so if you've been waiting for these to come back or you want to try the runner-up in this category, Sunday is your day, but you're going to want to be very fast because they're going to evaporate out of here again. So there you go. Raid makes an appearance this year in the top 22 as a runner-up in the small swim bait category. Let's keep going. Staying in swim baits, let's jump over to hard swim baits. So I just put all hard baits in one category because this is usually a bigger bait category. All the hard swim baits that there are, pretty much every brand has one, right? This one will surprise you until you know why. Right? The #1 selling hard swim bait of the year in this store, a Depths slide swimmer. Okay, now I put all the sizes into the same category. So we're counting 250s, 175s, 145s, 115s. Slide swimmer wins this category. And this is the first year that it has won this category. Slide swimmer is one of our favorite glide baits, 250 and 175 specifically for me. The 250 is a 6-ounce bait. It's just a very easy bait to use. It glides, probably the easiest gliding bait out of the package that there is. Okay, if you guys like to tinker and like to customize, literally just by changing from these big heavy hooks that are on it to like small #4s or #2 like lighter hooks, you can get it to virtually be suspending instead of slow sinking. So customization can be super easy with this. You don't have to tinker that much. Tons of good colors. Now the reason that slide swimmers went through the roof and became a #1 seller is because we did that special custom color of bone hair, right? So that definitely helped. That was thousands of units that boosted this guy way above. And by the way, guys, thank you for the support. We were unsure when we decided on bone hair and our bone hair Christmas, how it would be received, but I appreciate you guys having a similar sense of humor, I guess, to us and finding things just, you got to have some fun. So not every name needs to be so serious. We could have a good time, right?
Good time.
So there you go. If you are looking to start in glide bait fishing, this is the place to start. This has been the industry standard since it's been a bait. So Depths makes an appearance with the slide swimmer, #1 hard swim bait of the year. Now, the runner-up is a runner-up without any custom color. So no custom color needed for this bait to be #2.
Interesting.
Okay. Bait Sanity Explorer Gill. So this one surprised me, but then once I saw it, it's like, that makes sense. Because we've spoken about this bait a lot. We have obviously seen a gazillion of them sold. This is a great one because you're at a $60 price point, right? So you don't have to spend $170. And you've got all kinds of colors. So it's a gill-shaped swim bait. There are obviously gill colors, right? But they make this in a bunch of shad patterns too. They make it in bunker, they make it in white, they make it in bread. Someday I'll open this package. All right, so here, let's just take a real quick look at the Explorer Gill. So there you go. It's a nice, easy sized bait to throw. It's not too intimidating, right? So almost anybody can toss this guy. It comes with spare fins in the back or spare tails in the back, right? So you're just over 2 ounces, so it's a pretty easy bait to throw. It glides super easy. And again, it comes as a floater or a sinker. The floater has tungsten weight strips that come with it, so you can weight it down to make it suspend or super slow sink. Just a lot of flexibility, right? So again, if you're looking for the easiest, best big bait to start your glide bait fishing, do this one. If you're looking for a smaller option where you don't have to have such a specialized setup for, I would recommend this one. It's easy to use. It's the perfect size. It's big enough and small enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So there you go. Your runner-up for this year. Let's see what happens in 2023 with Bait Sanity. They've been up to a lot of interesting things.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting year. We'll see if they can overtake this category. Maybe.
I mean, do you think if we didn't have the bone air drop, the Gill would have taken it?
It would have been there.
There we
Yeah,
go.
without bone air, it would have had it, which is pretty interesting to see. So
Bone air
good
round
things
2
to
next
come.
year.
That's it. That's it. All right, let's go the opposite of big hard swim baits. Let's talk trout BFS baits. So I kind of combined like BFS hard baits and trout baits all into one. Now we've been talking about Kageki trout a lot around here. You've been filming a lot of trout.
Oh yeah.
Kyle and Andrew have been fishing a lot of trout. How have you enjoyed the trout difference? I mean,
It's its own
not so
world.
much when you fell off the cliff, but
Yeah, that was my happiest moment, actually.
okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but it's different, right? How you've enjoyed it?
Oh yeah, it's its own world. It's crazy because you're taking stuff that, you know, you could still use for bass, but you're using it in a totally unique way.
Yeah.
And you're just getting such a crazy reaction out of those fish that I don't think you could get out of any other style of fishing,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
It's cool.
What's interesting about the trout lane is we throw a lot of bass lures at trout. Edovision 110, right? The Varunas, the Raid Level Minnow, pointers, right? Those are bass lures that trout just love.
Oh yeah.
On the flip side, we've taken a lot of trout baits and caught a shitload of bass
Yeah.
on them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I BFS these this winter all the time for bass. It's like my #1 starting bass bait, but it's a trout lure.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy. So, let's dive in. Small bait category, okay? The #1 seller by a long ways, should come as no surprise, the Megabass Great Hunting GH50 flat side. Okay, now these are available as a floating and a fast sink version. 50 millimeters, depending on which version you get, is going to be different weights. So the floating is 2.5 grams, fast sink is 4 grams. The GH50 flat side is just a super natural, it's just like the perfect size. It's heavy enough to where it casts very easily on BFS gear. It's small enough to where it's small and unintrusive, and there's a ton of colors. So anywhere from trout colors to crazy colors to Wakasagis to IUs, right, all across the board. PMIU is like my go-to bass color, which is just a sick-ass color. They eat it in every kind of water condition. If you guys are looking to get into this or looking for a great starting point for either trout or BFS bass, the GH50 flat side would definitely be a place I would recommend. So there you go. There is your winner by a long ways. #2, another Megabass bait, the Megabass Karashi.
Really?
Yes. So I was thinking it was going to be like an OSP Durga
I thought that's what I was thinking in my
because
head.
we throw a ton
Yeah.
of Durgas, but people haven't got on that Durga yet. So we're going to have to do some more Durga videos and let people know about the Durga. Karashis, we sell a gazillion of them. So what's cool about the Karashi is it's really, I would say it's really more of a bass BFS bait. You can throw it on spinning. I think most guys throw it on spinning, but it's definitely one that I like to throw on BFS. It's a walk the dog kind of just subsurface bait.
Yep.
So it's almost a topwater bait. Like I consider it a topwater bait, but it doesn't float.
Right.
So it kind of goes down, but you're walking it so fast, it's basically right at the surface, almost at a wake, you know, a foot or less usually. So when the fish eat it, they come up and just destroy it. Bunch of cool colors. Definitely one that's worth adding into the arsenal if you guys aren't throwing it. When they get keyed in on small bait fish, fry, that kind of stuff, they smoke that thing. So
Oh, yeah.
there you go. Your winner in the category and your runner-up in the small bait category. All right, CJ, so we're going to combine like topwater baits, like hard baits. They're going to all go into the hard bait category, but one topwater that kind of needs its own category is a frog.
Of course.
Okay? So when you think of all the great walking frogs.
As soon as you said frog, Griff is right next to me.
Yeah,
It's like he appeared.
Griff, frog. So when you think of the #1 selling frog, Griff, what comes to mind? Carrot frog. Yeah, I mean, we throw it, we talk about it, we sell gazillions of them, right? What comes to mind for you, CJ?
Oh, Kyra would be first pick.
Interesting. Wasn't even close.
Really?
Nope. This one blew it out of the water. I bring to you the Teckle Clinker.
Wow.
Now, I think
Interesting.
very interesting, right? This is a cool frog. I think what really brought this to the top was that this was a new release. So the Kara's been around now for like a decade. So while we sell a lot of them, everybody kind of has Kara frogs.
Yeah.
Whereas the clinker, brand new, everybody bought them. Like, so the sales were super high. Now, will it maintain for 2023? I don't know. But if you guys aren't familiar with the clinker, this is basically a wake bait style frog. So it has that kind of teckle shape, hollow body frog, but you'll notice that the back blade unit is totally different than any other type of unit. And you know what was also interesting? All of our frogs that had tail mechanisms, so the sprinkler frog, the spin tail frog, all things that like you cast and wind, all were super high this year. So guys wanted things that didn't need to be walked, right? Bunch of lazy fuckers.
Just straight reel
Right?
a frog.
Bunch of bums. Yeah. So with this, you literally just cast and wind it, and this crazy mechanism in the back causes this frog to move back and forth and creates this knock, and it basically just wakes right at the surface, and you fish it like a wake bait. So it's a unique bait. It's in a bunch of cool colors. There's blacks, whites, there's little mouse, there's all kinds of stuff. So the #1 frog of 2022 is a teckle frog, the clinker. I pulled up #2, like, I wonder what #2 is. And it still wasn't the Cara. It won't surprise you. We sell gazillions of these.
Oh, yeah.
The Megabass Big Gabbit. As soon as I pulled it up, everybody shook their head. The Big Gabbit has been one of our top selling frogs since it's been out. Multiple reasons. A, it's super easy to walk, one of the easier walking frogs. B, it's pretty heavy. So it's almost like 3/4 of an ounce. You can skip it, you can cast it, you can do a lot of very accurate things with this frog on a heavier frog rod. So if you guys are throwing like a 7.4 Steez or a frog rod that's really fast and not super forgiving, this is a really good frog to throw because it still loads that frog and you can get really accurate casts. Tons of colors, great hookup ratio, just a great all-around frog when you need something just a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier. Kind of the opposite idea of the Cara frog, right? So
Yeah.
Cara when you need something really tiny, Big Gabbit when you need something kind of bigger and bulky, but there is your runner-up. So there you go, your 1-2 punch. Your winner, Teckle Clinker. Your runner-up, Megabass Big Gabbit. All right, let's jump over into the spinnerbait category. So another one of those categories where every brand in the store builds a spinnerbait. Lots of good spinnerbaits. I know you and Ethan dropped a video not too long ago where you forgot to handle fish correctly.
Yeah. I skipped that course in fishing.
So let's jump into spinnerbaits, okay? #1 selling spinnerbait and #2 selling spinnerbait were neck and neck this year. They were very close.
I feel like we talked about both of these a lot this year.
And we do, and it made total sense when I saw it, okay? But #1 selling spinnerbait, actually, this wouldn't have been close if I had done this properly. Well, here you go.
Okay, here we are.
#1 selling spinnerbait is a Megabass SV3 Double Willow. And what I mean by that is Megabass also makes an SV3 slow roll. I didn't put that in with these numbers. So the SV3, had I combined both blade sets, would have destroyed. So here you go, SV3 spinnerbait. I think by now most of you are throwing this bait. If for any reason you're not throwing this bait, I'm just gonna walk through it very quickly. So the SV3 is designed with, they call this a drop and delta balancing head. It's a little bit different head shape that really keeps the bait down low. To go with that, you have a very short, hard, thick wire. So it's very, very durable, but to still give the bait a lot of vibration, Megabass developed and designed super ultra thin blades. So where most spinnerbaits rely on the wire to cause the vibration of the blades moving, Megabass figured out that they could just make the blades thin and the blades can vibrate while that wire stays really thick. What that means is you can throw this bait on 16, 18, 20 pound line and set the hook and pull fish from cover, and that spinnerbait's not gonna open up and flex. And you still get that thump and that vibration that you really want. So for slow crawling a spinnerbait on the bottom, this is one of the best ones that I've ever seen. I'm a huge fan of this spinnerbait. It comes in 3/8, half, 5/8, and 3/4. So you've got 4 different sizes, a bunch of colors, both domestic colors and JDM colors that we try to keep in stock. So there you go, the SV3 from Megabass, your best-selling spinnerbait of 2022.
Makes sense.
The other one we talk about a lot that was neck and neck until I realized I didn't put slow roll in but it's still the runner-up.
We're here.
OSP high pitcher. So this is another spinnerbait that we talk about a lot. It's got a ton of versatility. It's another compact spinnerbait. So you can see it's still, again, a relatively small spinnerbait. You can get these in 1/4 ounce, 5/16, 3/8, half, all the way to 1 ounce. Okay, so in the 1 ounce has like a big double Colorado. You can do a tandem willow. You can do a double willow. Bunch of different blade combinations. A bunch of different colors, chartreuses, natural shads, just a lot of versatility to this bait. So there is your runner-up. Your winner in the category, SV3. Your runner-up is the high pitcher from OSP. Now, while we're on blades, let's talk about blade baits. Okay? This one, I'm only going to show the winner because it wasn't even close. There was nobody, dude, it was like triple in sales.
Wow.
So it's the only one that deserves any recognition. Sorry if your favorite blade bait isn't this one. But if it's not, maybe you should pay attention. The winner of this category is the OSP Override, and by a big margin. This is our biggest winner margin of all the categories. So the Override is, arguably one of the best blade baits out there. There's 3 different rigging holes, so you can do it for a pretty standard rigging, a tighter movement, a wider movement. So if you're lifting and dropping or you're just winding, you can set it to whatever motion you want. It's also a super versatile bait because it comes in a ton of sizes. So, 1/2 ounce and 3/8 ounce are usually our best selling 2 blade bait sizes. OSP makes it in 1/4, 3/16, 1/8 ounce. So if you guys are BFS fishing, shore fishing, trout fishing, they make sizes in a lot of smaller, more practical sizes for those fish. They also make a lot of matte finishes, which very few brands make. I don't know why brands are so against matte finish. I'm a sucker for matte finish.
I think it looks sexy.
It looks great. You've got choices from shiny to, scale type patterns to matte finishes to golds, right? All kinds of different options. But by far, in sales, the #1 selling blade bait of the year from OSP, the Override.
I'm so happy people bought those because Luis and I put in some elbow grease hanging those things.
Oh, yeah.
So many different colors and sizes. We're
Dude,
like, holy shit.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a huge little station of Overrides.
Oh, it's crazy.
But it's such a sick bait.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Let's jump over to jigs. We're here. I got jigs. So this was a kind of a hard category, too, to put everything into one. I just kind of combined everything. Swim jig, football jig, blade jig. Like if it was a something jig, in it went. Okay?
Yep,
So
yep.
I'm going to talk about the winner and then 2 runners up because I don't want it to get any hate mail.
Yeah,
okay.
there's a lot of options.
So since everything with a jig went in, here's your winner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Evergreen jackhammer. Again, by far. So obviously the best-selling, chatterbait style bait. But if it's a jig, if it's a bladed jig, this is the winner. Now, a couple things to point out. We did do some custom colors. We did light hitch and chartreuse shad again this year, so that definitely helped. Fire crawl continues to be dominating in the spring, right? So, this is the money bait.
Yeah,
so if you throw this style bait, a bladed jig, this is the one to throw. Now, if you don't consider this a jig, relax. Okay?
Chill out, guy.
The #1 selling swim jig in this category, this guy. So the Megabass Waze Swimmer. So this is a bait that has been one of our best-selling baits since its inception. It has the perfect kind of flared gills so that any paddle tail bumps up against it and it tracks true. It's got a hand-tied skirt, double keeper. It also has that titanium wire with that underspin blade on there. So you get an underspin, you get a swim jig. It fits all the best paddle tail swim baits from a spark shad to a doe live shad, right? So
Yep.
everything fits on this. Tons of sizes, 3/16, 1/4, all the way to 3/4, right? So you can kind of fine tune your approach. So there you go. There's our #1 selling swim jig. Bottom contact jig. This one blew everything else away, which is surprising. Depths last year was kind of the #1 selling jig. This year, OSP took it over with the Hunts jig. But it makes sense. We talk about it a lot. Hunts jig is kind of a hybrid round head football head jig. It's got a weed guard on it. It fits a small little trailer. I throw a 3-inch doe live crawl on it a lot, but any like 3-inch bait fits perfect on this. We even throw with like a 3.5 beaver, like at the river a lot, and they smoke it. Tons of sizing options as well, all the way to 3/4 ounce. So you can go light, you can go heavy, You can do a lot of different things, but definitely a compact jig to add in your arsenal. The hookup ratio for me is way, way better than something like a K-Tech jig.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
So, I mean, a K-Tech tungsten football jig, we sell so many of them because people just get stuck in this lane, but the hookup land ratio has always been a challenge with that. This kind of solves it. So if you're looking for a good weedless bottom contact jig, that's the one from OSP. All right, CJ, our final two categories, hard baits, soft baits. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so we're gonna do 4 in each category. Okay, so we're gonna start with hard baits. So our 4th best selling hard bait. Another Teckle.
Really?
Yes. The Teckle Kick Knocker.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So, super dope that we're seeing a topwater bait in here, which means people had a lot of fun this year.
Yep.
Right? Now, what helped this, obviously, well, the Kick Knocker is an amazing bait, right? So it's the original mold, original plastic, so you've got that original sound to, you know, the Vixen, which was everybody's favorite bait when that was a thing, right? What helped propel this year is that we did our custom colors again. So we do a White Walker and a Sake Bomber. We also added a 3rd color that sold out, Ghost Geisha. So it was really cool to see you guys respond well to those colors. So thank you very much. Really propelled this high. It did really, really good. So there's your number 4 selling hard bait of 2022. If you guys don't have these, you want these.
Oh yeah.
This is the go-to topwater. So it's got that loud, kind of super spook knock, but just a killer bait. So there you go. Number 4 from Teckle. This is kind of cool because there's no repeat brands in here,
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
which is interesting.
I love seeing all the support for the custom colors too.
Yeah,
It's
it's
pretty cool.
really dope. Okay, number 3, non-custom color. Okay, no custom color in this yet. Okay.
Interesting.
3rd best-selling hard bait, OSP Blitz EXDR. Now, I will say, I'm going to go on a limb and say if we had these all year, this could have been number 1.
Yeah, I'm surprised that wasn't higher, honestly.
It's just supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't even have any EXDRs until like summer.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we got as big a batch as we could and just people went crazy for them.
Gone.
But imagine if we had a steady supply through the course of the year and people could just buy as they needed them. Would have been dope. But here you go. If you guys aren't throwing this crankbait, what is wrong with you? Arguably the best mid-diving crankbait, I think, on the planet. So this is the OSP Blitz EXDR. Lots of great colors from naturals to shiny shads to red craws. This is a really easy bait to throw. It's 12 grams, so it's just under half an ounce. So it casts easy, it cranks easy. It's a great one for probing like that 15-foot range. That's kind of what I consider it. It's great on like 10 to 14 pound test. Smallmouth, largemouth, I mean, everything eats this thing, right? So this needs to be in your arsenal if it's not already. That's the number 3 hard bait. Okay, number 2, I was surprised by this. Now we have done a couple of custom colors, but not enough to make that big of a difference because this was a big jump.
Yeah.
But it was exciting to see and it makes sense because it owns this category. The 2nd best-selling hardbait of 2022, the Lucky Craft LV500. So anytime we talk about lipless, this is the bait that everybody starts with, right? There's the LV500 and then there's kind of all the other ones, if that makes sense. Spring Craw, our number 1 selling color this year, outside of our custom colors. So we did like Essa Dawn and Essa Wakasagi and that kind of stuff. But Spring Craw followed by MS Ghost Minnow. These were the 2 best-selling colors of 2022, which is also interesting because you got this nice natural bait fish, and then you have this like red craw pattern, which is so deadly in the spring and the summer, ripping out of grass and dragging around the bottom. So here you guys go. Again, if you're getting into lipless, this is the lipless to get, the LV500 from Lucky Craft. And then the number 1 selling hard bait. Will anything ever knock this off?
It's no surprise.
I think the Blitz is the only one that has a chance, but I don't know that it's ever going to be in stock year round.
If we had
knocked it off.
Yeah.
Plenty have knocked it off. Will anybody knock it out of the top spot? Probably not. The Megabass Ito Vision 110. Once again. So this won last year by a huge margin. It won this year again by a huge margin. This is our best-selling hard bait in the store. And for good reason. Arguably the best jerkbait on the planet. If you guys are getting into jerkbait fishing, this is the one that you need. If you're only going to have one jerkbait, this is the jerkbait to have. It's been just proven time and time again, both fun fishing, tournament fishing. You can fish this thing from shore. I mean, Griff, you and I have thrown this thing everywhere. Yeah. Right? River systems, ponds, small, like, flooded, wooded areas. CJ, you've thrown it trout fishing. Yeah. Of course, all the big lakes. Like, literally, this is the jerkbait to have. Tons of cool colors. There are going to be some new color changes coming this year from Megabass, so stay tuned. They are going to mix up their color line. So some colors in core are going to go away. They're going to freshen everything up this year, which is going to be pretty exciting, so stay tuned on that. Guess what our #1 selling color of 2022 was?
Try not to look at it and just guess. Matte shad. I hope it's matte shad.
It's not matte shad, but matte shad was very close. Definitely top 5. Griff?
Leggy bone.
Leggy bone.
Cheater.
I tried to help you.
I really tried to guess here.
Yeah, leggy bone. And I think this was #1 last year as well. Now, do you know what #2 was? This one's going to shock you. Well, probably won't shock you. You'll never guess it. SBOB shad.
SBOB shad was? Really?
#2. Yeah.
The way they were flying out of here, I would have thought that was #1.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think the reason a leggy bone was #1 is it was just consistent all year.
I feel like we had that one all year long.
Right.
Like we never ran out.
Right. So, you know, it's just a steady flow. Or SBOB shad was like, and then we wouldn't have any for a couple months. And then, you know what I mean? So.
What about stain reaction?
Oh, it's way up there.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. It's way up there. That's Griff's color.
I mean, not stain reaction. Sorry.
We should just call that Griff.
Griff's
reaction. Yeah.
Griff reaction.
So there you go, guys. The #1 selling hard bait and our 3rd best selling bait, period, in the store. Right? So we already said the Magdraft was #2, which means something in the soft baits is #1.
It's crazy.
Let's dive in. All right, guys, let's wrap this thing up. Soft bait category and the unveiling of the #1 selling item of 2022. Are you ready, CJ?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
We should just call this category, well, I'm not going to spoil it.
Oh, I like where this is going.
The 4th best-selling soft bait of the year, the OSP Dolive Craw. I honestly didn't see this one coming. So, I'm happy it's here. Now, we talk about this guy, the 3-inch OSP Dolive Craw, a lot. This is my go-to compact jig trailer. Is it still yours?
Yeah, 100% of the time.
Yeah, so 100% of the time,
Yeah.
like nothing ever goes on the back of your jig other than this.
Yeah.
Got it. It's just a sick-ass trailer. It fits pretty much every compact jig, whether it's Kitech or Hunts or a headlock, whatever you throw, it's money. But they also sell a little 2-inch, which is dope on a little finesse jig. You can also drop shot it. You can put on a little Ned rig. And then they also do a 4 and a 5 with our great Texas rig and even flipping. That 5-inch is sick, flipping, punching, anything like that. It's got big claws on it. So no surprise, tons of colors. So there you go. #4 from OSP, Dolive Craw. #3 from OSP, Dolive Stick. Are you sensing a theme here, CJ?
Yep. I see where you're going with that.
Okay, so Dolive Stick is our 3rd best-selling plastic of the year. Now, this was actually the first bait that I ever free-rigged. A 3.5 Dolive Stick. Yep. And it was my favorite free-rig bait for ages until I discovered the beaver. And now I go back and forth between the stick and the beaver. What I love about the stick is that it just has a fast, erratic darting motion. So when the fish's energy is high, this is the bait that I prefer over a beaver. So it just has that dart and that movement, and it's real erratic, right? You can also downsize to the 3-inch, and you can use the 3-inch as a drop shot bait. You can put it on a little ball head, which I do a lot like on my BFS combos, and just drag it around the bottom, and it's got that little tail to it. Works great. You can also go up in size. There's a 4.5 and even a 6-inch size that also you can use as a free rig, but they work great like as just weightless, almost like a Senko. So this is a great kind of Senko alternative. Just kind of pitch it around and let it just kind of flutter down. Just has a little bit more movement than a Senko does in it. And it's just a little bit cooler.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Which is important, right? So there you go. #3, the OSP Dolive Stick. Number 2, not OSP.
Oh,
That was going to be all OSP,
I was
didn't
really
you?
hoping, yes.
All right. Number 2. Just can't get rid of this thing.
Oh, the old scat.
The Depths Cover Scat. We sold, dude, tens of thousands of these silly things. I say silly because it is so ridiculous, but still the #1 selling soft bait in Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, like 5 years running.
I'm surprised it's not #1 here, honestly.
I think this could take over the #1 spot again if production was consistent.
True.
Right? If people could walk to the wall and just pick green pumpkin
Oh.
every day of the year,
Oh my God.
this could be way up there, right? But what'll happen is you'll get a green pumpkin or green pumpkin candy or something like that that'll be real hot,
Yeah.
and it'll sell out, and then they won't make it for 4 or 5 more months. And so there's these huge gaps in time. If you guys are wondering what the hell I'm holding here, the Cover Scat is literally
Well,
a bait that looks like a piece of scat.
yeah.
Right? It is basically a turd bait designed to fish weedless with a offset worm hook. It's a heavy piece of plastic that's designed to sink to the bottom, and you're going to fish it like a jig. So it allows a weedless kind of Senko backgliding kind of presentation to get down the bottom. You're just going to kind of rip it off the bottom. It's going to dart, and then it's going to kind of just sink back down. And it's kind of goofy, but it's super natural, and you can't argue the results. When Kenta was here a couple years ago, he was saying that he thought like 80% of the fish caught on Lake Biwa in 2020 were caught on this bait.
Oh my God.
Like 80% of the
That's
fish.
crazy.
Right? So it's just one of those really easy baits anybody can use, or you can really get technical with it, especially with all the sonars and stuff that we have now. You can get this down into rock piles and trees
Oh,
and
yeah.
really kind of fish it in places that you might not be able to fish a jig. So 3 sizes, 3.5-inch size, 4-inch size, and a 2.5-inch size. So depending on what you want it to do. There you go. The #2 soft bait of the year almost took top honors.
Wow.
There you go. Cover Scat from Depths, which leaves #1. So the #1 soft bait of the year, also the #1 selling item of 2022 at the Hookup Tackle. We have a repeat winner.
I think that's no surprise.
A repeat winner. The OSP Dolive Beaver. There you go. That is your best selling item of 2022. No surprise. Now, we do it in a custom color. We call it Fred. Green pumpkin, purple copper. It didn't matter. I mean, even if you take Fred's sales out, it still dominates everything. So these are available in 3 sizes: a 3-inch, a 3.5, and a 4-inch size. Basically, what this tells me is that people are open-minded to baits that move different than how we've been trained that baits need to move. Free rig, obviously, is becoming super popular. That's probably how most guys are using that 3.5-inch size. That's how I fish it most of the time. So the 3.5-inch for me is a free rig and a jig trailer.
Yep.
The 3-inch is like a little Ned rig size, but a free rig, it works great as well. And then the 4-inch is also a free rig size, but also you can kind of flip, big jig trailer. But you notice when I hold, so here's a look at the OSP Dolive Beaver. Just in case any of you guys aren't throwing it, I think the numbers speak for themselves. Everybody's throwing it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But when you hold this bait up, you see how those claws literally, they bend the entire way. Well, the idea of that is that these claws are, as it falls, as it's pulled down, does what OSP calls a dolphin kick, right? So those claws are kicking the same way that like a crawdad would scurry through the water. It's kind of kicking that same way, and these claws are just moving back and forth as it falls. Then when the weight lands, right, the bait's separated, when the weight lands, the bait turns to a horizontal posture and then falls the rest of the way down horizontally. So it literally looks, it's the most natural crawfish looking bait I've ever seen. Not in my hand looking like a crawfish, but movement wise looking like a crawfish in the water. I've never been able to imitate. Griff, would you say the same?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you guys are looking for an ultra realistic looking bait, and I say crawfish, but every time I've been to the Great Lakes, I destroy them on a free rig 3.5 beaver. And I don't know if there's any crawfish in there or not. I think they're just eating gobies.
Yeah, I would think it would just be
But
gobies.
they just eat the dog piss out of this thing. So it's definitely one that you guys want to have in your arsenal. So there you go. The winner of 2022 takes the soft bait category, takes the overall category. The OSP Dolive Beaver is your reigning back-to-back champion.
Wow.
All right, guys, that is a wrap. There is the top 2022. Let's see if I can say that correctly. There is the top 22 baits for 2022. And I know that was more than 22 because we did all the runners up, but I wanted you guys to see what the best selling baits in each category are. Hopefully some of your favorites made the list. Maybe you saw something that you haven't been using, that maybe this will be like the little light bulb that goes off that says, hey, use this, all right? If you guys have any questions on anything that we covered, drop it down below and I'll definitely get to it. And we will leave links to everything. What's fun about this episode, CJ, is this is the one episode a year that literally is totally out of my hands. Like normally I'm thinking through like, okay, what do we want to talk about? What bait should we talk about? What techniques should we talk about? Like this is all you're doing, right?
Yeah.
All I did was I just pulled numbers and then went around and pulled the baits. So this was really fun for me to see. I would say most of it was expected, but there are a couple oddballs in there that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
So guys, on behalf of myself, and Griff and CJ and Jeff, wherever Jeff is, and everybody else here at the Hookup Tackle guys, thank you for an amazing 2022. This will be our last video of the year. We will be back fresh on New Year's Day with another What's New. But guys, it's been an awesome year. Thank you for giving us time on these videos. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the camaraderie in the community. Thank you for your business. We will see you in 2023. We'll see who makes the list next year. Enjoy your New Year's, my friends. Peace out.